You know the deal, Trevor. We do this each week. My only request for this week's musical intro, it's gotta be spooky, because we're in the spook season. We got a spooky visual graphic for the people watching on YouTube and Facebook. It's the spook season. We need a spooky intro.
Okay, I think you might know this one.
Okay.
All right. Ready?
Yeah.
What's new, Scooby-Doo? Coming after you. We're gonna solve that mystery. I see you, Scooby-Doo. Coming after you. What's new, Scooby-Doo?
I can't wait for that song to have a trap remix.
Na 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 na.
I hope one day they get a designer in the studio and he's just like bumping to that same way he was bumping to the what is it?
Do 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 do. Cat cat. Do 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 do.
Yeah, that's Adam's Family.
Yes.
Welcome, everyone, to the Anthony and Todd Show. I'm your host, Vincent, a.k.a. Vinny Vincent, a.k.a. Vince Staples is literally the best thing on Twitter right now, a.k.a. a.k.a. Bone Resources, a pretty cool name for a band, a.k.a. Gucci Mane's best material was released in the 1800s, a.k.a. my jokes today are guaranteed not funny. And I'm joined today by my ever-attentive co-host, my best friend, my pal, my amigo, Trevor, a.k.a. Prom King, or for the blood members of our audience, Brom Bean, a.k.a. the Australian Killer, a.k.a. the event coordinator of the Biggie Cheese Challenge, a.k.a. I married a Post Malone, a.k.a. Trevor the Crustacean, a.k.a. ye old boy.
Hi-dee-di-dee-di.
Welcome again to the Anthony and Todd Show. We got a great show planned for you today. First, we're going to cover the new Benjamin Clementine album, I Tell a Fly.
What'd you tell him?
He's a little punk ass.
Yow.
That'll teach that fly to get in my
Yow.
applesauce.
Get out, boy.
Get out of my applesauce.
You fool.
You fool. After that, we're going to talk about Alex Cameron's most recent album, Force Witness. And it's an extra special episode today. Because by the time this goes up, if this goes up on Sunday, hopefully, knock on wood, it should be our 2-year anniversary of doing the show. So 2 years ago, October 22nd, 2015, we started the Anthony and Todd Show at WSU.
Yay.
And here we are, 2 years later, older, wiser, things. And because of that, we would like to call this week's episode,
I get no kick from champagne. You know this part. Your alcohol doesn't thrill me at all. So tell me, why shouldn't it be true? I get a kick out of booze. There's only 2 years left. Vincent's screaming at me like my ears like I'm deaf.
That's probably our best title we will ever come up with. That's the peak. We've peaked this episode somehow.
This is the end.
Okay, you ready to talk about Benjamin Clementine?
I told a fly.
What did you tell this
do
fly?
my laundry.
Oh, what did that fly do to you?
He did my laundry. What he did.
Benjamin Clementine, he is a English poet, spoken word artist, pianist, many things. He's a really interesting guy. He's really popular. He's not as popular here as he is over across the pond. Took me to Trev a little while to figure out who he was. Our first meeting with Benjamin Clementine came on the track Hallelujah Money by Gorillaz. I didn't know who Benjamin Clementine was, and I was surprised to hear him because of that track, which is a great track, by the way. It's one of my favorite moments off Gorillaz' last album.
It's good.
And but you get like a sense of like depth to Benjamin Clementine. He isn't just a vocalist. He isn't just a spoken word artist. He's just a really interesting guy. You get a sense of a certain character from him. And I was excited to hear maybe some solo work from him. I went back and listened to his last album. They dropped 2 years ago. And I enjoyed that a decent amount. And I was excited to hear this new album. That apparently is like weird that this album... It's like one of the only albums I've heard of recently that had a UK release, a Europe release, and then a US release. Like, I don't think any other albums do that.
That's
now.
something like video games do a lot.
Yeah, but like it's I don't understand it. Like, and especially with like streaming now, like there's no reason that you need to delay your release. So this, I think it came out like September 2nd or something like that, and Europe, and it came out October 2nd here in the States, which is weird. I was excited to listen to this album because the singles that I heard caught my eye. Phantom of Pellaville, I think that's how you pronounce it. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it right.
Alepoville.
Alepoville? I can't read. I'm illiterate. I'm sorry, never learned.
That's okay.
It showed Benjamin Clementine pretty much doing everything that he is. Here's strange vocal performances. You hear spoken word. You hear him just doing piano ballads. You hear everything. You hear everything that he can offer in just one 6-minute long track that I found pretty beautiful, and I really enjoyed it. And I was excited to see where we went from there. He dropped "God Save the Jungle," which is a track I really didn't. I thought it was okay. It didn't get me excited for the album, but then the track "Jupiter" dropped, and it may be my favorite. I don't know if I like it better than Phantom of, but I feel like it is the most popular of this track. It's kind of similar to London off his last album. I feel like this is the one that would probably get him the most recognition because it's a little short 2-minute pop track, and it's great. It's a great track, even though it is his most popular track on this album, or poppy sounding track on this album. It's still a fantastic track, and his vocal performances, I just love it. I just love his sound. It's just so strange. After that, the single Quintessence dropped. I thought it was just kind of mingering. It kind of brought me back to God Save the Jungle. I wasn't too high on it. It wasn't the worst thing I've heard, and I didn't think it was bad. I feel like it kind of just roamed for the allotted time that it had. So I was I was excited going this album, but I was also kind of nervous and how it was going to sound. Now, before we get into the actual album, I want to do something strange this week. Okay. We're going to review the album art first. Let's just see, because I feel like album art is an important thing, and this week, let's just review it, because why not?
Okay.
So the album art to I Tell a Fly is Benjamin Clementine holding a lunchbox with dear life, and he has a protractor placed on his face with a yellow border surrounding the image.
Like a huge yellow border.
First thing, what I love about this album art is how he referenced the lady with the math equation. You know, that meme that was going around last year, I think. I like how he just doesn't copy that meme. He remixes this in a sense, puts a protractor on his face. He's memeing it up.
He made it his own.
So one question I think we need to ask, and I think I asked you this a couple months ago: what is in the lunchbox?
I think we gotta ask ourselves, what's the... It's Marcellus's soul. That's the only thing that could be in there.
I think it's the pen from later on.
No, shut up.
You stole it.
It's the diamonds from Reservoir Dogs.
It's actually, when you open it, it just shines gold. It's actually just a golden version of the briefcase from Pulp Fiction.
Treasure. 2 gold doubloons.
I think looking at the album art, it's supposed to represent him being a strange dude, represent him
I think that's literally it.
Being an alien, being weirdo. But other than that, I love this album art. I know it's weird that we're reviewing the album art first, but we gotta explore. We're running out of ideas here at the Anthony Todd Show. We're running out. We're slowly drowning. But based on the album art alone, 9 out of 10. Just the album art.
It's good album
Okay,
art.
now actually talking about the album. This album, it's good. Some tracks I just can't listen to more than once.
I think your main point is that you got to go into listening to this album not thinking that it's going to be
Jupiter.
Benjamin Clementine is not a musician. He's not a musical artist, and I think you have to see him more as a poet and as like a spoken word artist than as an actual singer.
See, I don't see it as a spoken word artist. I think you got to see him as a pianist. Pianist?
It's a harpsichord.
Whatever. You gotta see him as a... You gotta expect basically a lot of piano ballads, a lot of orchestral type... Not orchestral type, but more instrumental music throughout this album. That's what you should go in expecting. And then an occasional spoken word part. You shouldn't go in expecting moments like his vocal performances on Jupiter, his vocal moments on Phantom of Pelava. Hopefully I'm still saying that right. I don't know if I am. But this album, at least lyrically, is strange. Biggest example on this, Paris Core Blimey, which is a track. It's like halfway through the album. Every time I listen to it,
It's god awful.
Okay, can we talk about? Okay, so the story. I don't even know how to describe the story of this track. It's Paris's friend, who he addresses. Benjamin Clementine addresses as Paris's friend. It's not Paris. Paris's friend, who's the main character of this song, loses her pen. Asks Paris. Paris says it's blaming on the rats or some shit like that. Like, I couldn't find any deeper meaning into this track.
I don't think there is none.
I think it's just Benjamin Clementine just straight up memeing it up for like 3 minutes.
It's atrocious.
I don't think it is. Here's the thing. The songwriting, like, that can off. But like the backup vocals, it's like, that's fine. The production's fine. It's just the songwriting is so goddamn annoying on that track. Like, this is like, after Better Safe Than Sorry, or no, after Phantom of Pellaville, I kind of just tune off for a little bit, because that track, first time I was like, oh, this is kind of strange. But every other listen I gave this album, it just turned me off. Like, that track I just found super irritating for the 3 or 4 minutes it runs. Benjamin Clementine is essentially just memeing it up, but like, there's no purpose. It's just,
I'm reading about it right now. It says
there can't be another purpose to it.
It says Paris Core Blimey is based on the tongue twister Peter Piper about nationalism in France.
Like, what?
This song is horrible.
It's not like, okay, it could be artsy, but at the same time, it shouldn't annoy me. And it's annoying. Like, and I think that's the only moment on this album where I'm just annoyed. Like, there's other moments where I'm kind of bored, because it's either a piano ballad or spoken word part that I find kind of boring. But that's the only moment on this album where I'm physically annoyed. I don't think there's any other parts of this album that are like that. I think other than that, that's the worst track for sure. But moving on up, what did you like about this album?
I did not like Paris Core Blimey. I thought it was dumb. But I think you have to go into this knowing that he is a poet at heart, and that's what he has made his reputation based on is his poems, and his piano playing comes along with that. I think he's a very avant-garde kind of person, and so this album is going to be avant-garde, following in his wake. Farewell Sonata, I think, is really interesting with its piano ballad. I think it's a great start of the track, followed by God Save the Jungle, followed by Better Sorry Than Safe, Phantom of Aleppaville. I think those are all pretty solid tracks, at least for the album. I don't, like you said earlier, I don't think I would listen to some of these more than once, and that's very true.
I don't think I would listen to some of these more than once. I would not listen to them more than once outside the context of this album.
Right, that's yes.
God Save the Jungle, it fits well into this album.
It doesn't fit well as a single.
Yeah, it doesn't work as a single. I will never be like, yo, I'm gonna bump some God Save the Jungle. That's my favorite track. No, it's more of it fits well into this album. It fits with everything else that Benjamin Clementine's going, and I like it in that context. But when you take it out of the context and just play it on its own, it doesn't work. I'm glad that it. I can appreciate the track now. There's reason to enjoy it, at least in the context of this album. I'm glad I just don't despise that track and have to skip over it every time. I feel like it blends perfectly together.
They all bleed so well together.
It all fits perfectly well with Farewell Sonata. Mm-hmm. The only other moment I can say that I'm not annoyed, but I'm kind of turned off, that I know for sure is Quintessence. Quintessence, sorry. I don't speak English, I only do the math. That's a Doom lyric, right?
I'm not speaking English, I only do the math.
Yeah. Quintessence is whatever. Even on this album, I feel like it just kind of roams on for its a lot of time. Doesn't really say anything. Mm-hmm. Kind of just wish it was cut and you just went to Ab Dreamer.
Well, I find it very interesting. Like, we always talk about the second half kind of fatigue of an album, but I thought that the second half, starting with Jupiter, like, really was something. I vastly enjoy the second half more than I do the first half, and I thought that all hope was lost after Paris Core Blimey, and then like that track just turned me off of the album so much, and I was driving on the highway and I was like, please end this torture. And I was like wondering at what point the song like bled. I was wondering at what point Phantom of Aleppoville like bled into Paris Core Blimey, and I was like, I will never be able to listen to either of these tracks ever again if it like splits halfway through the story. But I'm glad that all the madness is contained within one track. But immediately after Paris Core Blimey, we're brought to Jupiter, and I think that the whole album just skyrockets in quality. And it's stuff that I want to listen to. It's stuff that I want to read into more. It's like things that I find interesting, melodies that I find interesting. It's like a night and day difference between once you get past Paris Core Blimey, you are into a completely separate realm.
When you mentioned that, how you feel like you enjoyed the second half. I feel like when I listened to this for the first time, like even Farewell Sonata and the tracks up towards the end, I felt like those were tracks you were gonna love. Like I'm bad at judging your character and what you're gonna like, what you're gonna dislike, but this time I felt kind of confident in some of the tracks you were gonna like. I knew you were gonna like Paris Core Blimey just because it was so annoying and I also hated it. I feel like because all the music that you listened to in high school and you've like shown me in college, of like all the vocal performances you like, and the fact that you want to be a vocal instructor, you're a music education major, I feel like you would have appreciation for not only Benjamin Clementine's vocals, but for even some of the piano parts, for even some of the spoken word parts. I feel like Benjamin Clementine's style is almost based in music theory.
It's very classic. Yeah. I mean, I think Benjamin Clementine is classically trained. I don't know that for fact. Don't quote me on that. But like I have a feeling he is, just based on the kind of ballads he writes, his piano skills, no doubt. And like maybe I was wrong in saying like don't go into this thinking that he's a musician, because like obviously he is a musician. He can sing, he can play piano, he can compose. I meant more you have to go in it thinking about the songwriting more, because that's kind of what poetry is. Benjamin Clementine reminds me, okay, so like put this image in your head, and this is what I thought of while listening to the album. Imagine David Bowie and Leonard Cohen fused into one person in the streets of Bloodborne for PS4. Okay? That, like, maybe like some steampunk thrown in there somewhere. Like, that is what I was thinking of this entire time. He's playing the harpsichord. He's playing a piano ballad in Beethoven's house. And then he walks outside and shoots off to the moon like he's in a Ray Bradbury like novel or something. Something crazy. Like, that's the kind of images that were going through my head this entire album, and I feel like I'm still stuck in the 1800s like just mindset right now.
Yeah, with Gucci Mane in his best material.
Yeah,
Gucci Mane released his best material
in the 1800s. Yes.
Yeah,
I would have made it to Gucci's wedding, but I had some homework to do.
I think one general theme going throughout this is Benjamin Clementine kind of relating himself to being an alien, whether it be like a not a legal alien, but like a alien is in
not belonging to one central place.
That, and more of alien as he has a visa, he can go around the whole entire world. He's an alien of yeah, you basically summed it up better than I can, but he's kind of like a world citizen in a sense. He's not tied down to one place, or at least when he's on other places. I don't know. That's what I got out of the album. Sorry, I can't explain it to shit, but
I think it makes a lot of sense. Like, he did get his visa. He's talking about like Jupiter. I think that even tracks like God Save the Jungle, by the Ports of Europe, like that kind of brings that all to light.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I really like By the Ports of Europe.
Okay, you were like cracking up laughing when I was listening to that earlier. Like, I didn't think it was funny.
I thought it was funny the way he says the one, by the ports of Europe, by the ports of Europe.
See, like, when I heard that the first time, I'm like, Trevor's gonna love this. Just because it's just this strange performance.
It's just funny. I don't know. Jupiter is one of my favorite tracks. It reminds me of like Moon Age Daydream in a sense. Could you see that?
Yeah.
I really like By the Ports of Europe. It's just like this. It's weird. But then my favorite track, I would have to say, is Ave Dreamer. The closing track, just beautiful vocal, like choir performances. Blending that line between the Jeff Rosa Suck Lil Yachty passionate and like an actual classically trained musician, skill based. I just thought this was like really cool. There are some parts where Benjamin Clementine even like harmonizes with himself, and I think that put like a lot of work into this track, and it's a great closer to an album. Big, grandiose. I imagine Benjamin Clementine in the clouds with a choir.
One thing I want to bring up, you brought up the closer, I'm going to bring up the intro, Farewell Sonata. I love just the sound of the track, kind of like the soundscape, because you come in, and I don't know why I think this, but like I think I'm on like a boat, like, you know that scene from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory where they're going down the tunnel and it's all spooky and stuff?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going down, like, when the track starts off, I feel like I'm going down like Benjamin Clementine's like strange version of it, and then it kind of slows down, and then it's piano ballad, and then it picks up, and it's like, I'm going to say like almost Queen-like vocals, but it has like a Queen-like energy to it.
Yeah.
Her passion to it that I really enjoy. And then it slows down again, and then it kind of gets weird for a bit. So you're coming in and out of this tunnel. Oh, before it gets to the passionate vocal performances, I don't know why, but like it feels like so we got off this Willy Wonka-like boat, and it takes us to the carnival, like this weird carnival that Benjamin Clementine's setting up. And I don't know, the rest of the album just gives me that feel. Like, we're just at this weird carnival, maybe a theater, and Benjamin Clementine's just doing him. He's just giving these strange performances, and it's really interesting. But yeah, you got any final thoughts before we...
I don't know. I don't know if I can like sum up how I feel about the album that easily, like in a score, you know? Yeah. Like I said, I think that the first 5 tracks are so vastly different from the last 6 tracks that it's difficult to make that kind of a score. But for what it's worth, like, I enjoyed the majority of the album.
I like this album. One thing I feel like if you took out Paris Core Blimey and Quintessence, I can't speak. But if you took out those quintessence, I'm sorry, I never learned how to read.
It's alright. One day
I'll learn. But if you took out those 2 tracks, I feel like this album would be so strong. Like, Phantom to Appellville to Jupiter, I feel like would have been like perfect together.
Absolutely.
Because those are 2 of the strongest tracks on this album. Having them next to each other would have been like, oh, this album's fantastic. But like, you go on this weird trip where this Paris's friend loses her pen, and Benjamin Clementine's just memeing it up for a solid 3 years. And then Quintessence, it's just boring. I can't even pronounce it. That's how boring it is. I can't even pronounce it. But it's just like, it's such like a downer to Avenue Junior. And I'm not even going to say it's bad. It's not bad. I feel like Paris Core Blimey is bad.
I think the placement of Quintessence was bad.
Yeah, you could even... I feel like it would even been like an okay opener because it is so slow. I don't know where else you could have put it.
It could have gone after God Save the Jungle or Better Sorry Than Safe, or even in the place of Paris Core Blimey, and I would like it like 20 times better. But to cut off that energy that's been building since Jupiter, that melodic feeling that's like almost at its peak by the ports of Europe, and then you slow it down so far that you're in this trench, and then you come back up again with Ave Dreamer, and I feel like that could be such... Ave Dreamer is such the perfect closer to this, and it could be even better had Quintessence not ruined the flow of the album.
But yeah, the only 2 tracks I hate are Paris Core Blimey, Quintessence, and... I can't pronounce that wrong.
You said it right.
But yeah, those are the only 2 tracks I hate. I feel like this album... Those 2 tracks, Paris Core Blimey especially, just kind of ruins it. And I feel
that's probably going on my worst of the year list.
Okay, so what's on your worst of the year list? I'm curious. Time to meet your god.
The entirety of Ariel Pink.
Really, the entirety?
Besides A Time to Live, I like that one. And Paris Core Blimey is on my
Paris Corner Blimey.
worst.
I bet there's some Father John Misty in there.
Yeah, the pure comedy.
Pure comedy? You could have picked like
There are two good tracks on there. Total Entertainment Forever and Ballad of the Dying Man.
Dude, I listened to Father John Misty the other day because I recently got the vinyl, and
it still sucks. Just as it used to.
It's like I like it even more now.
No,
like the ending, even like I didn't.
You're not allowed.
The ending, which I had problems with at the beginning, I feel like I have appreciation for it now. I think it still is kind of slow, and it kind of maybe should have been cut down a bit, but I have even more appreciation for that. I feel like today I probably would have given it a little bit higher score than I did 6 months ago, 5 months ago, whatever.
It's already at a 9. What would you give it?
It was at like a 8.5, 8.6.
You give it a 9.
No, I gave it 8.6.
I will go back and check.
No, I gave it 8.6 because I gave it the same score as Guardians. I remember that, so I had to change my. I didn't want to give it the same number, and that was a joke.
I gave it a 2.
I know you gave it a 2. I don't even think it deserves a 2. But I'm not gonna.
Yeah, you're right. It deserves a 1.
I would give Ariel Pig a 2 before I would give Father John Misty. Okay, so let's try to encapsulate this review of Benjamin Clementine. I think it's a good album, besides 2 ups. And one of them's not even that big of a up. It's just a terrible placement. I enjoy this record. I think it's good. I think there could have been. I feel like because it is so. I want to say there's so much being thrown at you. Benjamin Clementine's avant-garde style makes it a hard listen. I know we talked about like Quelly Chris is a hard listen and stuff like that. I feel like this
is a harder listen than Quelly Chris.
This is
the hardest listen of the year.
At least with Quelly Chris, like there's a lot of popular tracks on it. Like even like Buddies, In Case I Lose Myself in the Crowd, Popeye. There's like production to it that is popular. Even though it is hard to listen and get past his style. With this record, it's just hard to listen to.
There's no predictability. There's no sense of... It's got good production value, no doubt, but there's no sense of progression in the production value.
I'm not saying the production value wasn't good. I'm saying it just, it wasn't popular. Like Jupiter's probably the most popular about any of the production value. And maybe the first part of Phantom of. But yeah, I enjoyed this record. I'm excited to see what Benjamin Clementine does in the future because this is miles ahead of his last record. I feel like his last record, I felt like he was kind of holding back a little bit of what he really wanted to do, and I feel like this is what he really wants to do. And I'm fine with it as long as we just don't get another Paris Core Blimey. Like, that's just a meme. You need to stop. Because I feel like he was writing. He's like, you know what? I want to take my best
track. Leave your memes for the album cover.
I want to take my best 2 tracks. I want to put a meme in between them. It's gonna be a juicy meme for me and no one else because it's not funny. Why did I say that weird? That was strange. But yeah, I like
Sonic the Hedgehog Cup versus Knuckles in my mailbox cup.
I like this record. I think overall I'm gonna give it like an 8.2. I do like this record. I'm excited to see where Benjamin Clementine goes in the future. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to give it a 7.75. It's good, but like I just think that some of the tracks. I mean, I was almost lost after Paris Core Blimey, and I had to use every inch of my willpower, like every cell in my body to stay with this album after that. I disliked that track so much, and the payoff was amazing. We can't have that again.
Yeah, Benjamin Clementine, stop making memes. You're not a meme artist. You're not Neil Cicerega.
You're not Neil Simon.
You're not
Neil Diamond.
You're not Neil Diamond. Stop. You're David Bowie. Who else?
Leonard Cohen.
And
Bloodborne for the PS4.
Okay, so that wraps up
the end.
Benjamin Clementine. Are you ready to have a retrospective about our time here on the podcast, the radio show, the whatever? So our first show, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but our first show was on October 22nd, 2015 on WSU 106.9, which is a Wright State's, Dayton, Ohio's college-based radio station. We go to school there. Yeah, nerds. And we started there. Like, why did we start there? Like, I think I remember in high school you brought it up And, I'm trying to figure
we
out.
were driving around the mall area over by
yeah.
Wright State, and I was this was back before we had an aux cord. And I was flipping through all the radio stations in the front seat of our friend Tyler's car, and I came across Closet Freak by CeeLo Green, and I knew that no sensible radio station would ever play Closet Freak, and I needed to find out, like, what it was. And I thought for the longest time it was a bootleg radio station, and, like, that experience just kind of, like, settled with me that I always remembered that I found the Closet Freak near the mall.
There was it played Closet Freak and then it played Kanye West. I remember.
Yeah, they did play Kanye after that.
Like Gold Digger.
And it was just really, I don't know. I seriously thought it was like a bootleg pirate radio station. And it wasn't until I was applying for colleges that I found out that UD, University of Dayton, has a radio station. And I sat there and I listened to that for a while, and I was like applying for colleges, and I thought it would be really neat to be on the radio like that. That's something that I have always wanted to do, was like share my music with other people. And I looked into Wright State, and they had a radio station, and me and Vincent went to orientation together, and we
held hands.
Yeah, we held hands and ate hamburgers.
And
Hamburger.
I was super awkward. Still super awkward. Nothing changed.
And then we went to the radio station and we're like, hey, can we have a show? And they're like, yeah, sure, go ahead and train. And it took us like a month, and then we got our own show. I didn't learn anything.
Yeah, we didn't learn anything. Like, they just gave us keys to, like, committing
it was great.
a ton of federal crimes on air. So, yeah, our first show was October 22nd, 2015. And I think I have clips of it somewhere. I don't think we'll ever release them, but I have audio of it somewhere. We did that for about 2 years, and we met great people, like our big friend
Stacy.
Big friend DJ Quest. He does our intro and our outro. We always mention him towards the end of the show. We always hype his music up. And we met Maxwell Paxwell, me and a couple other nice people there. And I was employed by the radio station for a little bit as the music director. And that was a learning experience. I feel like the Anthony and Todd Show wouldn't be what it is today without me. And I feel like my music taste wouldn't be what it is today.
Yeah, we got a bunch of free music. It's great.
Well, we still technically get... No, we don't, actually. I steal free music. No, I don't steal. I take my contacts that I received before and I use them to my benefit. Whether they're aware of that or not, who knows? I don't feel like... If it wasn't for my job as music director and... Anthony Fantano, my music taste would be completely different. Both of those things really opened up a world for me. And it opened up a world for Trevor because I would just force this thing down the throat. It's like, hey, you want some Death Grips?
I never listened to Death Grips, so haha.
You want some Death Grips? You're gonna take the spoonful.
I forced a lot of music down your throat, though, too.
Yeah, like what?
Chicano Batman. Any sort of ska.
You forced Less Than Jake down my throat. I won't admit
and now
that.
you like...
I don't really like it.
Do.
Actually, I don't anymore.
Do.
I listen to it a
How about the Riff Raff Childish Gambino track? How about Step, the remix?
That's not forcing music
Danny
down my
Brown
throat.
And
that's taking like a spoonful of like sugar. It's like it's just gentle down the throat.
Okay, well at least I know what's good.
Do you?
Yeah.
But yeah, WSU 1069 was a learning experience. What it taught me is like I hate dealing with people, and yeah, I just hate dealing with people. And if we're gonna do a show, we're gonna be independent and we're gonna make it big time. And yeah, that's what it mainly taught me. And after being employed there for a year, after being there for 2 years. Through issues that we had, just general, with not only WSU, but kind of with Red State, we kind of just booked it out of the radio station. We're just like, this, we're done.
What do you mean?
We still have friends there. Stacy, our big friend, Maxwell Paxwell, they're all nice. Ike, even. Ike B. Search up Ike B, the bad boy. He's only got a couple good weeks left, couple good days.
Next time he goes to the hospital, he's done for it.
But May 8th this year, we relaunched our show independently.
Yay.
Here online. And then first episode technically went up on May 9th. A few weeks later, we got our show on streaming services. And here, a couple months later, here we are, boyos. Nothing too major. But let's get deep for a second. Let's answer some questions. You ready to answer some of these questions?
Yeah.
First one, I feel like that's probably the most important. Radio or podcast? Which one's better?
Definitely podcast. The show's got a lot more direction. And, I mean, obviously I enjoyed the live banter of radio. I think it was just fun playing our music over the airwaves, like actually being on the airwaves. I think there's just kind of a novelty to having your own radio station. Or a radio show, I guess, and I liked that random people would just sometimes come in and join the conversation. Sometimes I didn't, don't get me wrong, but like sometimes
One person in particular.
it was kind of enjoyable.
I like podcasts. I miss the atmosphere of radio, but I would never want to have another radio show where anyone had the combination of the door.
Yeah.
If I'm doing a radio show, that door's staying locked. And unless we invite you in personally, stay the out.
Also, I found like on the station, it was just a big mix of shows and personalities and things. And like, wow, that's normally good for a radio station. I wouldn't say that it worked. It would be like having your alternative station switch to country in the middle of the day because the DJ liked country music.
It was just weird, and I just hated. I don't know. I just hated having to like. I put so much work into like categorizing all of the music and doing so much, and that's probably one of the reasons I was most disgruntled towards the end. Is I was doing so much. I felt like I was doing a lot of work, and I was getting no credit for it, and all my ideas were kind of being kind of pissed on, and I was just like, "F you, you don't appreciate me, I'm out." Not to say like Stacy didn't appreciate me. I felt like Stacy appreciated me. He's probably the person that came eye to eye with me the most. But yeah, like some of the members of the staff just didn't give a f***. And like there was no unity. Felt like besides me and Stacy, and me and a couple other DJs, there was no real unity. But like I enjoyed doing this because all I have to deal with is you and your petty ass bullshit. Which is okay because I've gotten used to that over like the 59 years we've been friends.
Boy.
But yeah, I like owning the stuff we have, so we don't have to worry about other people trying to do petty ass bullshit. So what's your favorite memory from not only like doing a radio show, but from doing this like show in general? It could be favorite memories, whatever.
I think it goes back to even like just back at the radio station. Like I missed some of the people there, and I liked DJ Quest, of course, just poking fun at him, having like fun conversations with everybody there. Matt and Hassan and Ike and Max. I just like miss seeing them. I miss the weird things we would talk about. Kev trying to start a civilization after reading a third of Brave New World. Yep, you've got it right there. Everybody's job in society is based off of their zodiac sign. Just crazy stuff like that. I think that was some of the funnest times we've had on the show.
I liked f***ing with Ike.
That was fun.
They just like him coming in every day and setting up, and we would just like it would just give us an excuse to just get on him for like 2 minutes. And we would every time he'd come and be like, "Oh, it's Ike B and the bad boy. They're two separate
people." He'd be like, "I'm not that big."
And then he would have this large styrofoam cup, and we would just say,
"I swear there's lean."
I swear it's gotta be.
It's gotta be lean.
But he uses like Hawaiian punch.
There's no wonder he's in the hospital.
He's going for that tropical lean. But yeah, I don't know. I miss that. I miss messing around with Hassan, our friend Hassan, who's just really loud and obnoxious and would just barge in at random points.
He's got a good heart.
He has a good heart. I remember one time we were just trying to get him to come into the studio, so we were just live on air, just talking trash about him for like 5 minutes until he barged in.
He finally came in the studio and yelled, "The fun ends today, gentlemen!"
And then he just pushed me away from the desk, from the equipment. It just threw me out of the studio. It just took over. That's probably one of my favorite moments. I like I don't know. I like hanging out with Stacy. Stacy's cool. I love Stacy. He's one of the chillest people around. He's our big friend for a reason. Yeah, that's what I like about doing the show, and I like hanging out with Trevor and talking afterwards about why he hates Riverdale and why I should probably watch it, but I'm not going to.
That's another fall TV recommendation. Watch Riverdale. It just started its second season on Wednesday, and it's actually really bad, but it's good.
We'll talk about that some other time. What purpose do you think us being at the radio station served?
I mean, obviously, it gave us the basis for doing this in the first place. And I think, like you said, it opened up our music tastes quite a bit. But I think, especially like for you, at least, I've seen in your career goals and in just what you like to do in your free time, I've really seen like the show has opened up a lot of doors to you to find out really like what your path is, I guess.
It's just like, it just gives me at least what I think. So like having a job there helped. Like I already talked about this, helped open my music taste. But I feel like just having to deal with like petty bullshit there taught me just like it's so easy just being independent. It's just so easy just not having to worry about other people. Not to say you shouldn't help out other people. You should definitely help out other people if they deserve it. If they're worthy of you helping them out. But I feel that's independence, music taste. Yeah, how to deal with people even though they're assholes. Not to say everyone there was an asshole. I'm just saying how to deal with assholes in general. I'm talking about more broad people. Other than that, that's what it taught me. Do you like being a music podcast?
Yeah, I do.
I think I like doing this than just being like a comedy podcast or being a movie podcast because there's not a lot of people doing music. There's like a lot of people aren't doing music generally. You think like Fantano's doing it, Deep Cuts is doing it, Big Quint, Sean C. But like after that, there's not a lot of like
There's
people.
not a whole lot.
There's not a lot of like music podcasts out there, and there probably is, but like there's not a lot of well-known ones, at least us. But yeah, I feel like I like this more than our previous podcast because it actually gave us stuff to talk about, and when we're done, we're done. We don't have to like banter on for like another hour.
You're right.
Favorite memes from doing the show, regardless of radio station or podcast?
Be in the bad boy. I think we've already mentioned quite a few of these.
Fun and stay, gentlemen. Just Keftopia.
A lot of just crazy things.
Okay, this one's my favorite. What's our 5-year plan? I think we should take this year by year. First year.
Year by year.
First year.
Open up a record shop.
Okay, second year.
Second year is sell the record shop.
Okay, third year.
Buy back the record shop.
I think the fourth year is Anthony Fantano sucks us off.
Drop a debut mixtape.
Okay, what's our band name? If it's not Bone Resources, I want to be extremely.
It's Bone Resources.
Okay.
With the B emoji.
Okay, cool. I'm cool with that. And what's our
Our mixtape's called You Bide. It's like the Dark Souls but with the B emoji.
And what's our fifth year?
We make Dark Souls 4.
Okay, that's good. This is a good plan.
Yeah.
Solid plan. And finally, the most important question. Why you such a little
all the ports of your mouth.
I think that wraps it up for our introspective moment or whatever, reflection, whatever, 2-year reflection, whatever.
Good work, fellas.
Good work. There's no quick reviews this week because I haven't had time to like consolidate opinions. I have a lot of stuff I'm probably gonna be talking about because I've been holding back like months of stuff and I'm just gonna let it out at some point. So it's probably gonna be next week if I have time to go back and look over everything. So expect that next week. But we still got one more album to review.
Oh, no.
And are you ready?
No.
Okay, too bad. We're doing it anyway.
Alex
Cameron is an Australian.
He's a Vegemite munching kangaroo jockey.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. He's an Australian singer-songwriter. My first experience with him came off of Kieran J. Callanan's last album on the track Big Enough, which I enjoyed his performance on that. After that, a couple months later, he dropped the duet, The Stranger's Kiss, which is a duet with Angel Olsen, and I actually enjoy that track. I think that
I
track.
really like that one.
I think
actually,
it's really exciting. I feel like Angel Olsen really meshes well with Alex Cameron and his style, and we weren't gonna. I was gonna make this a quick review for a while, but I thought it would be fun to review this because I feel like Trevor would absolutely hate it. Like I can't tell when Trevor's gonna hate stuff sometimes, but this time, because I knew Alex Cameron was an Australian, and also this album's kind of jokey. I just felt like Trevor was gonna hate this album, and that's why I review it. But Trevor, I know you dislike this album. I'm assuming. I think you said you disliked it earlier when we were talking. If you do dislike this album, can you promise me something?
yeah.
Okay. Can we have angry Trevor that's also good at defending his opinions, like Father John Misty Trevor, instead of Ariel Pink Trevor, where he just kind of goes on a tangent that doesn't make any sense?
Yeah, well, guess what? Ariel Pink sucked. We deserved it.
I'm not saying. Just if you could defend your opinions, that like I don't give a
Boy.
But yeah, Alex Cameron, Forced Witness is his latest album. Came out in September, I think in the middle of September. And we're going to do what we did for Benjamin Clementine, review the album art first for some reason. So the album art for Forced Witness is Alex standing in front of a window, but the window's gone, so it's just blinds. And parts of the curtains... Okay, so people are like peeping through the blinds, like taking photos of them. But there's also a curtain behind those people, and you can see where the curtain's like duct taped to the ceiling parts, and it's really weird. It's basically a meme. I don't think it has anything to do with the actual album, and maybe just Alex Cameron's weird personality. But 8 out of 10 for just being a meme and funny to look at. But Alex Cameron, what you need to know about him, it's so easy to compare him to Curtin J. Callahan, in my opinion, just because he's an Australian singer-songwriter who's also jokey. I think you can even make him maybe a comparison to Mac DeMarco or anyone of that type. Not to say they are similar styles, but they're similar methods. Alex Cameron kind of has this persona of... I feel like it's way more concise than Kieran J. Callahan's or like a lot of these jokey rock artists. He's like a has-been star. That's his persona, and he lives that out through his music videos, through his songs, and I feel like you can easily get that from this album. I actually like his little persona. I feel like it doesn't really come off as too annoying or anything like that, and I personally enjoy it, especially in the album art. I think it's really funny, especially the album art for Jumping the Shark. I just think he looks so goofy. It's funny. But this new album, it's really strange because I've never heard like an album in a while that's this concise with a lot of the themes and a lot of the stories. At least this album pretty much centers on love. Like, love is the major building point to this entire album. Now there's many parts to this. There's like codependency, abusive relationships, pornography, online women, catfishing, like various aspects. And Alex Cameron explores all these topics throughout the album. But like the main centerpiece is love, and Alex Cameron kind of scatters that out through the whole entire album, but the whole entire album feels like one concise thing. I like this album, but like my major complaint, and this is one of the things I was looking when I was looking over the album, my main complaint is that the last like 4 tracks just sound the same as like the rest of the album. So right after Stud Muffin 96, literally album just sounds like it's repeating itself over and over again. Production-wise, I feel like Marlon Brando is the only escape from this, at least lyrically. I think instrumentally it sounds like the rest of the album. I feel like the album just kind of repeats itself over and over again, and I wish, because Alex Cameron, he's such a weird individual, maybe just a little bit quirkier instrumentation on like the last 4 or something different, so it doesn't sound like I'm just listening to the same track over and over again. Production on most of this album sounds pretty similar to itself, but I feel like Alex's strong point is his songwriting, weirdly enough, and he's really good at making dumb songs about kind of bigger issues. He may not be the most I want to say politically correct, but he may not be the most smart individual, but he's able to bring a new point of view to these topics. Now, did you like this album? I'm assuming you did not.
Honestly, if I had to rate the comedy, jokey, country, like songwriters or whatever, it would definitely go Ariel Pink as the bottom, Kieran J. Callanan, and then Alex Cameron.
Is Alex Cameron top or bottom?
Top.
Okay.
Better.
I feel like Alex Cameron, he's just able to like make it jokey, but there's still like depth to it. There's still like a subject being talked about. Whereas Kieran J. Callanan, there's like a plot line, but there really isn't much more behind that plot line. Where Ariel Pink is just strange and absurd, but when he goes full absurd, where he goes full punchy, like he did on Pom Pom, it works. That's how I feel.
Right.
How those three artists kind of relate.
Okay, so we're on the same page then in saying that Ariel Pink's music on dedicated to Bobby Shmurda was just dumb. It wasn't at its full punchiness potential. But like we're not talking about like that album right now. It's just that's how I feel. Pom Pom. I've listened to Pom Pom and I like it infinitely better than dedicated to Bobby Shmurda. Kieran J. Callanan's Bravado gave me a lot of like mixed messages. There were some really solid tracks on there. Song about drugs, Bravado, Big Enough. I enjoyed those tracks. Alex Cameron's newest album, I think, is better than those two, given the fact that like I can see deeper into the songs. Obviously, like there are some songs that are about like love and about online women and abusive relationships and codependency and like heartbreak and that kind of thing. And I think that that's really interesting that he would choose like a full subject because Kieran J. Callanan and Ariel Pink did not. They are all over the place on their albums. Yeah. There's no sort of golden thread that like leads it through. And that's why I already like Alex Cameron's Forced Witness, like I said, infinitely better than these other two. Couple issues with it is he's playing this washed out has-been star singing, but at what point does that become the root of his act? He's a washed up star, but that doesn't like his. Let me start over. Candy May, opening track. Yeah. It's boring. I don't like Candy May. I just think that it's like a boring 80s inspired rock track, but he's playing out this has-been persona. At what point does that become too much? At what point does his playing off of that has-been persona leak into the quality of the music and make the music boring and washed up and has-been as his persona is? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get, like, personally, like, I knew what tracks you were going to dislike just because it sounded like they're from the 80s or they're from the 90s.
I have nothing against...
Not saying like all tracks from the 80s or 70s or whatever you dislike. I'm saying it's just, I feel like if you want people to come and take like old styles like that, you want them to reinvent it. Whereas Alex Cameron, I feel like he's kind of doing the same thing with it, which Candy May, I like that track personally. I like the songwriting to it, and I personally enjoy it. Personally, that's my personal taste. But I feel like at one point, at least personally, can you do the same track over and over again? Not songwriting, because songwriting, I feel like most of these tracks are different.
No, yeah, the songwriting like, on all the
production is just different. Repeats itself.
Right. Candy May sounds like a B-side off of a like mid-range Def Leppard album. Like, not that good, you know, one of the lesser-known tracks on there that people are like, oh, here's a throwback from the vault, and it's like something nobody's ever heard of before. That is what Candy May sounds like to me. Country Figs, on the other hand, turn that whole thing around. Country Figs is phenomenal. I really enjoy that track.
Here's the thing about Country Figs, though. It is such like enjoyable. I feel like it's the most popular track on this album, or most poppy sounding. I use that term a lot for some reason. But I feel like Country Figs is the only track that really doesn't have anything to do with like love or anything. At least when I was reading.
No, I don't think it does either.
It doesn't really fit to the theme, but goddamn, is it catchy?
It's so catchy, and it's a lot of fun to listen to, and I enjoy that. It's a good listen. Go back to Running Out of Luck. This is like, again, B-side Eagles track that like people didn't care about. And, like, that's the kind of inconsistency that kind of gets to me. Like, if, like you said earlier, like, the 80s rock thing, I mean, I think you're half right and you're half wrong here in saying that, like, yes, if you can draw from these, and I encourage it, but if you draw from an era and if you draw from the 80s style, draw from the best. Don't draw from the B-sides. Don't draw from the forgotten tracks. Draw from the best of the era. And those songs are popular for a reason. And I think if you're going to draw from the 80s, take from those popular tracks. Don't reinvent. I mean, you don't have to reinvent everything. You don't have to copy blatantly off of the songs. But, like, if you're going for that style, remind me of the more popular tracks. We go into Stranger's Kiss now with Angel Olsen, and they complement each other so well with their voices. I'm a fan of Angel Olsen to begin with, but I think that this whole duet, Stranger's Kiss, is the strongest point on the album. I think that him working with Angel Olsen was a really, really good choice on his part, and I think that that track is probably the strongest. Followed by True Lies, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Stud Muffin 96, pretty good. And then I would definitely 100% agree that the last 4 tracks are all the same track, with the exception being, I guess, Marlon Brando's songwriting. I think is good.
I think the songwriting is different from each of them. Hacienda. Okay, so I feel like Chihuahua, Politics or Love are okay songwriting. Hacienda is just trash. It's just complete trash. It doesn't have anything to do with anything, and it's just the production's not. I feel like the production on that track is the most horrendous because I don't know why, but it reminds me of Jimmy Buffett, and I don't want to hear Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah, what do you got against Jimmy Buffett?
Cheeseburger.
You don't like Cheeseburger in Paradise?
No, I don't like Jimmy Buffett.
Disappointed in
I'm not
you.
my grandfather. Are you your grandfather?
I happen to like Jimmy Buffett. Thank you. I don't mind him.
Marlon Brando, the production's okay. It's repetitive, but the songwriting, I feel like, is really great. Even though he does kind of use this, homophobic language. But I feel like he's self-referential of why it's bad, like why he shouldn't be saying that. And again, I think that really relates more to the character. I feel like out of all these tracks, Marlon Brando is the one where you get the most sense of Alex Cameron's has-been character.
Right.
One thing I want to bring up before I forget. I don't know why I kept on comparing this Karen J. Callahan. Probably because of the goofier style, but like, even if you compare it to like Ariel Pink or maybe even Mac DeMarco, one thing, all those things that those albums have combined, and I know you may hate them, but like I enjoyed parts of those. Those albums were actually able to, like, Ariel Pink's last album, dedicated to Bobby Shmurda. Dedicated to Bobby Shmurda. Dedicated to Bobby Jameson.
It's Shmurda.
Dedicated to Bobby Jameson in Karen J. Callahan's Bravado. You may be able to agree with me. Even though you didn't like those, you can say you were surprised by those albums. Those albums didn't sound like the same over and over again.
No.
Like, Bravado and Song About Drugs are very different to Living Each Day and Down to Hang, and that's very different from Big Enough and what's the opening track? Whatever it is called, I forget. But all the songs on the album, there's many styles, and I feel like, at least with this, if we got like another style, like we didn't even need him. Like, I'm not saying you should go to EDM or anything like Karen J. Callahan did.
He does have an EDM like persona.
He kind of does, but like, I'm not saying you should take like basically copy what Karen J. Callahan did and just fuck around with different styles. But I feel like, at least with that album, the songwriting isn't as good, but at least I'm entertained and the production surprises me. Whereas this, like, even like, I love True Lies and I love Stud Muffin 96, but it just sounds the same. Like, it just kind of gets annoying. But like, here's the thing, I like this album because the songwriting's so good. I think it's great, but the production just is lackluster.
Yeah.
And I'm in this weird zone where I just don't know whether I should give it a 6 or an 8. Like, it's somewhere in the middle of there, and I just don't know.
Oh, I know what I'm giving it.
I know you're gonna give it like a 1. Wait, what should you give it? 5.5? I don't know. I'm not gonna guess. But like, this album is just so hard for me to figure out because I think the production is just so lackluster. And
I found it disappointing personally. After going into Karen J. Callahan and Ariel Pink and being surprised, but I mean let down just because I didn't like them. and I actually found songwriting that I liked and like singing that I didn't mind. Like I said, like you were saying, the production is just really lackluster. Another beef is the sax. I have no problem with the saxophone. I think that the playing is very skillful on the album, but I feel like it got
Done too much.
repetitive
Yeah.
after a while.
I think after Country Figs, it should just not shown up.
Right. He was like, oh, this is quirky and funny because I'm quirky and funny. And I'm based off of an 80s star, but I don't know like how washed up I am. Back in the 90s, I was in a very famous rock band. But yeah, nothing against Roy Malloy on the sax. Like, excellent job. Keep playing. Don't get me wrong, but like, whenever Alex Cameron asks you to be on every track, please say no.
Just say one track. You get one track.
One track. And then cut them off.
I want to talk about.
You're enabling.
I kind of want to talk about some of the themes, even though we kind of touched upon this. Stranger's Lies, which is just fantastic. Which is essentially Alex Cameron talking to this girl online. But
it could be a Nigerian
guy.
guy.
It could end up being a Nigerian dude, and he makes reference to that. But he doesn't care because whoever it is sending him excellent poetry and sending him photos of their beautiful eyes. And I really like the songwriting because, I don't know, it just kind of shows that, I like that it kind of shows just kind of love regardless. And it's not sexual attraction. It's more of just beauty and love.
Poetry. It could be Benjamin Clementine.
Dude, that'd be great.
Where's me pen? Oh, have you seen me pen?
And on Stud Muffin, I keep on putting Stud Muffin 69 in the show notes. Stud Muffin 96, which he's essentially just catfishing a girl, saying he's actually 20 years old. I don't know. I find that really funny. Even though it is a dark subject, I think it's just hilarious because he goes from not even knowing who he's talking to online to literally trying to catfish like a 20-year-old. Or like 17-year-old. I don't know. I find humor in that scenario. And then there's a couple other, like Marlon Brando talks about kind of hating on the new boyfriend, and then there's abusive relationship with Candy May, and then there's codependency and Stranger's Kiss, and that music video for Stranger's Kiss is fantastic. It's like great. I just love the atmosphere that they provide with each other. It's strange. It's like the music video is what it exactly should be. It should be this weird experience, and Angel Olsen's able to play this character that's equal to Alex Cameron's like strange has-been persona. But yeah, like I don't think there's anything else I really need to. Oh, the ending, Politics of Love. It fits in the theme of love, but it sticks out so much because I feel like it's the only really, really positive track about love. All the other tracks are kind of negative in a sense, or they have this kind of like dark humor to them. Politics of Love just sticks out because it's the only like truly positive song, and it closes it too, and it's already a weak point because it's at the end of the album. But yeah, I think that's all I can say. This album, great songwriting, poor production, at least on half of it. I like this album, but I wish there was just a mix-up of production. Maybe some quirkier production, maybe just something different so it doesn't sound like I'm listening to the same track. I just don't know what to rate this thing. I think I'm going to give it a 7.5. I think that's decent in my opinion for what I feel about this album. I like it. I don't know if you guys would like it. It depends on the person, I think. And at least I think production's kind of lackluster. What do you think, Trev?
I'm going to have to give it a 5.5. No, 5.3.
No, I was expecting you to just final thoughts.
Yeah. Like I said, I think the production just really gets me down, I guess, because maybe it's more of an angry score. I think it probably deserves more like a 5.67 because that's my final score, 5.67. And maybe it's like kind of my emotions just getting the best of me, but like you keep hitting me with these dumb albums. But no, I'm in all seriousness, like I was enjoying this album, but there are just so many breaks between the sunshine You know, there's so many just drawn out breaks between moments that I like, and even songs that I do like. It'll come in with something dumb, like a horrible synth solo, or like a really cheesy sax line, or I don't know. The songwriting is really good, like you said. Like, I enjoy the songwriting. I think it's funny. I think that it makes me like listen to find the jokes, because at first listen, like, some of these songs sound really serious, but once you get to listening to them more, you find out that they're absolutely not in any way serious, and it goes all with the persona. And I think like there are really strong points on here. Like I said, Country Figs, Stranger's Kiss, True Lies. These are all like really strong songs, really good songwriting, but there are also moments like the Chihuahua or the Hacienda or Candy May that I personally didn't like, that just kind of ruins the experience for me.
Is there any tracks, any of the goofier tracks that like threw you off, like Down to Hang on Karen J. Callahan's and I think Santa in the Closet off Ariel Pink? Those tracks you just hated because you didn't think they were funny. Any tracks that you just hated because you didn't think were funny?
Honestly, no.
No.
I mean, I wasn't laughing during any of them, but I at least find them more amusing than I did Ariel Pink or Karen J. Callahan.
I think one thing Alex Cameron does right is he's not too goofy. Like, he's goofy in the right amounts.
Right.
I think that could be
commended. I think his goofiness works in that way too, because like Karen J. Callahan, I think, just goes over the line sometimes.
But that's who
and that's
he is.
I mean,
and same thing with Ariel Pink. He goes over the line.
I mean, that's who they are, yeah. But like, there is a limit to goofiness. Like, my conducting teacher said to me today, he's like, there's a fine line between being funny and being obnoxious. And I think that sometimes Karen J. Callahan crosses over that line easier. And then I think there are rarer cases like Ariel Pink where I think if they cross over that line so much, like they did in Pom Pom, that it becomes funny, amusing, and catchy again. But Alex Cameron hits that line and doesn't cross it.
Benjamin Clementine sprinted over that goddamn line on Paris.
He sprinted over it, and then they made him get back into the lunchbox. Somebody came up and got too close to the lunchbox that he had to run back and perform Jupiter.
Okay, so that's Alex Cameron in a nutshell. I think you should listen to it, see if you like it or not. Because I've heard some reviews of people saying they like the production, they think the production's good. I definitely don't care for it about like half the album. But songwriting, fantastic. Listen to Country Figs.
If you've listened to our last two reviews and liked Ariel Pink and liked Karen J. Callahan, then you're probably going to like Alex Cameron.
Okay. I think that wraps up for this week. Next week, what is next week? Next week, Trevor will finally make up his goddamn mind and finally pick an album for us to review. I ask him every week, and he never gives me a definite answer. So we're gonna do it right now. You're gonna give me a definite answer because I already got my album. I picked my album. You're gonna give me a goddamn. I have a schedule of album releases on a Google Doc. I send it to you, so you're gonna give me a goddamn album, or else we're reviewing Kurt Vile, Courtney Barnett.
I like Kurt Vile. I don't like Courtney Barnett.
They mesh well, but like I don't know.
Don't make me.
There's Lou the Human, John Babb, Courtney Barnett, Kurt Vile, King Cruel. There's also like a bunch of other shit you haven't reviewed. Okay, so you
Boys II Men's got a new album coming out. Hey, hold on. Darius Rucker's got 98 Degrees has a new Christmas album coming out. Hollywood Undead, that's a good one. Maroon 5.
The best is on the Google Doc.
Seal has got a new album coming out. That's in November. I'm going to listen to Seal's new album, and I'm going to give a review just like I did
of
DJ Jazzy Jeff.
I hope there's a song about where Seal has to go to the doctor because
he sings "Luck Be a Lady." That's so funny.
Okay, you gotta make up your mind now before we close off the show. We're doing it on air. You gotta decide right now. Pick an album. There's many. There's good options.
I'm thinking King Cruel.
Okay.
I'm thinking King Cruel for the next one here.
I think you may like that because it has some horns on some parts, and I know how much you like ska.
I do like ska.
Band. So we're doing King Cruel. What's it called?
The Ooze.
Yeah, The Ooze.
Yeah.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2.
Secret of the Ooze.
Yeah. And then we're also going to be reviewing one of my favorite albums of the year so far, Shoo Shoo's forget. I wanted to talk about this album pretty much all year, and I feel like since next week's my birthday week, we just should talk about it because I've been listening to it recently and I really enjoy it. So we're gonna discuss it. Okay, so next week, Shoo King Cruel should be a good week. But I think Trevor should talk a minute about the Biggie Cheese Challenge, and then we'll wrap.
Oh yeah, okay. So my brother and his friends came up with this challenge, and it's called the Biggie Cheese Challenge. If you've ever seen Barnyard, it's based off of the scene where Otis the cow walks into the barn, and it's like a party, and there's this giant rat that's rapping in the middle of the barn, and his name is Biggie Cheese. So the challenge is you have to eat a pound of cheese, a block pound of cheese. I'm also doing a pound of shredded cheese. That could be probably the same amount of like agony going through here. You have to eat that whole pound of cheese in the time that Mr. Boombastic by Shaggy can play through one time. And that song is about 4 minutes, a little under 4 minutes. Okay. We're doing it on Friday at school. I've got about 10 contestants so far. We actually had to push back a octet rehearsal for my highest choir so we could do the Biggie Cheese Challenge. I've got a lot of people that want to spectate. I'm really excited.
I might have to spectate. I might have to show up just to see you die.
Please
If I show up, will you do my idea and eat a pound of macaroni and cheese dust? So you know what, like the packaging that comes.
You have to put it in a 32 pack of Ice Mountain. Also, we also had the idea, or more or less I had the idea of making a jungle cheese. It's like jungle juice, right, in the bathtub, except for you boil a bunch of noodles and put it in a bathtub, and then everybody brings their own bag of shredded cheese and throws it in there, and then you get this macaroni in the bathtub. Okay. Jungle cheese. It's gonna be at the next party that we have.
I think that sums it up. That's been this week's episode of the Anthony and Todd Show. Until next time, guys, make sure you like our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, subscribe to us on YouTube, Podbean, Google Play Music, and iTunes. And if you want to submit a question for next week's episode, there's a link in the description, or you can send us a YouTube comment, or you can just harass us through our email or whatever. I don't know. And
you can text me if you want.
You can text Trevor. His phone number is 911. Call me sometime. 911. Call me sometime. I feel like our theme song is produced by our big friend. He's a big friend. Big friend. DJ Quest. Our intro song is called No Sleep, and our outro song is called Reply. The links are in the description. They should take you to your SoundCloud, which is, I don't think it's a
And then
thing.
you're going to get a message that says SoundCloud is defunct.
808 Aaron.
And then you're going to have to text him and ask for this track. His number is 911. Just like mine. We live at the same place.
Okay. This has been episode 12 of the Anthony and Todd Show, an episode we would like to call...
Are you going to sing it with me?
I don't remember.
I get no kick from champagne. Your alcohol doesn't thrill me at all. So tell me why it must be true. I get a kick out of booze. There's only 2 years left. Vincent yelling at me like my ears gone deaf.
That's...
Check the new King Cruel. It's coming out soon. Just kidding. It's already out, and we're going to give you a review.
Leave a like if you like.
Leave a like if you like. Alex Cameron's a chump. Know how we feel. Punk. Don't tell a lie on me. I won't tell a truth about you.
What song is this? This is my favorite song.